One of the most important lessons I've taken away from becoming a minimalist is to not buy things I don't intend on keeping for years to come. Once I switched to this buy it for life mentality, I found that I made more intentional, high quality purchases that get used and in some cases last me for a handful of years. So in this video, I'm gonna go over a few things I've owned for years as a minimalist, and maybe even a few reasons why I recommend some people do the same thing if it makes sense. But first, if you're new to my channel, thank you for stopping by. Here we talk about minimalism, frugal living, tech, and things of that nature. So if that sounds good to you and you end up liking the video, be sure to like and please put a Brazilian wandering spider in the subscribe button's bed. Let's get started. Also, I'm gonna have a link for everything I talk about in this video in the description box if I'm able to find it. So if you see something and you're interested in looking into it, check down there first. Multitool. This might be the most underrated thing that I own, period. I bought this back in 2016, so going on 8 years, and it's been so useful to me in a dozen different situations. I don't personally own a tool set, but this has been the perfect substitute for me. I won't go into details about every single feature this thing has, but it has helped me in a pinch where I need a screwdriver or a pair of pliers. It's helped me when I need a screwdriver for things like my camera stuff or even putting together furniture. And if I remember correctly, it was about $40 at the time of purchase and comes with a lifetime warranty if I ever needed to utilize that. When it comes to minimalism and owning less physical things, and you aren't someone who needs an entire tool set on hand, this might make for a really great option, as it's literally multiple tools. It folds really nicely and just stays in my car. I think a multi-tool has a place in most households. Clippers. And this is something I so easily think is worth investing in. I believe I got these clippers back in 2018 or so going on 6 years, for $30. And don't be fooled, I do still use these weekly to trim my face. I know that there are specific clippers for haircuts and specific ones for facial hair, but what I've been doing for years is just putting a short guard on these and trimming my beard that way. Obviously, I haven't had a haircut in a long time, but before I didn't have that complicated of a haircut, and I just taught myself how to do it using YouTube videos. If you have a simple haircut, I definitely think it's worth giving it a shot if you're not afraid to try, to save some money. Because when I was paying for a haircut a few years ago, it was about $30 or $40 every time, maybe twice a month or so. So an investment of these clippers once, along with some time invested to learn and practice, has saved me plenty of time in the long run, money, not to mention I could do it from the comfort of my own home. And like I said earlier, the fact that it doubles as a beard trimmer makes it a really nice 2-in-1 tool to own. Water bottle. The next thing here is my infamous Visco Girl water bottle, specifically my black hydro flask, which I got back in 2016, so going on 8 years ago, and has been used nearly daily ever since. In my opinion, this particular brand is not cheap, and honestly, you could get probably any old metal water bottle and have it achieve the same thing. But $40 several years ago means I'm only paying a few dollars a year to own this thing, and that will only go down as time goes on. I've dropped it several times, broke the lid, and even stained it. But if there's anything on this list I think everybody should invest in, it's a high quality metal water bottle. It's completely stopped the need for me to buy water when I'm out and about because this just lives with me in my backpack. And based on how I've treated it so far, I'd say it probably has another decade left. This also might be the most buy it for life item that I own because it feels the least likely to break or malfunction while simultaneously getting the most use. Sling Bag. Another thing on this list that I think has a place in pretty much everyone's life is just a high quality bag. For this particular bag, I'm going on about 3 years of ownership, and I've spoken enough about the contents of it, so I won't go into too much detail about that. But for something I bring with me almost everywhere, every single day, in a variety of different environments, I wanted something that is very high quality. And I've actually bought this bag and talked about the quality of it way before I had any affiliation with Bellroy, because I knew this thing is just as good as it gets for me in terms of quality. Taking this on short day trips, or even on days I just don't want to keep anything in my pockets, it's been a very useful thing to own in a multitude of scenarios. And unlike water bottles and something else I'm going to talk about later on this list, bags I don't think are something you can get away with spending too cheaply on. But once again, for an item that I'm going to use the way I utilize this, I think it's worth it. Black shorts. When I talk about clothes that I've owned for years, these black shorts might be in first place. I'm not exactly sure, but I believe I got these black American Eagle shorts like 4 years ago. Yes, they're faded, and yes, my girlfriend had to stitch the ass for me twice, but I just can't find another pair of black shorts I like as much as these. And I don't particularly plan on wearing these to any formal events. They've been my go-to shorts for pretty much any outdoor activity, the gym, or just being around the house. I know that buying clothes for life is a lot less realistic than the other things on this list, but I definitely want to make sure I get as much time and use out of these before they eventually have to be replaced. Watches. It's definitely no surprise that I love my cheap watches. I've had two that I've predominantly shown in videos. One is my Timex Expedition. That's been with me since 2021, so 3 years. And more recently making a return is my G-Shock. That you can literally see if you go back to my very first video, and I've even owned it 4 years before that. These watches are around $40 or $50 each, look great in my opinion, and have lasted for this long with pretty hard use. I love watches, and I wanted ones that I can match with anything that I wear for the most part, wouldn't be too expensive, and I knew that would last for a very long time. I know that there's a ton of really cool, expensive watches out there, but if this $40 Timex gets mistaken for a $600 Hamilton Field watch every time I show it in a video, then it's good looking enough for me. Camera. Now, I really could argue this has been the best investment I've made when it comes to things on this list, or even in general. And I obviously can't get a lot of B-roll of it because I'm using it, so bear with me. I bought my camera from a used camera store in my area about 4.5 years ago for an unusually low price. And obviously, it's still getting used. So many upgraded versions of my camera have come out since then, and while they do have features that would probably make my life a little bit easier, I still want to see how much use I can get out of this thing before I do end up replacing it after it breaks or malfunctions. But right now, I don't want to fix what technically isn't broken. House slippers. I won't go into too much detail about these because there really isn't a lot to say, but yes, a pair of house slippers is on this list and I've owned them for a long time. I genuinely think about 5 years or so. I've never been someone who had a pair of house slippers until I lived in a home that had a hard floor and noticed how dirty my feet got. That's the main reason, along with the added benefit of just being comfortable, which is what all clothes should be. These things go on as soon as I wake up, are worn throughout the day when I'm in the house, and a very small amount of money several years ago, I still plan on getting maybe another several years out of them. There may even be a few more things I can put on this list that I haven't thought of, but I wanted to try and make it as relatable as possible for those people who maybe want to buy their next buy it for life item like water bottle or cheap watch to own for the next 8, 9, or even 10 years. Anyways, I hope you got some value from this video and I appreciate you watching. Definitely let me know down in the comments if there are some items that you've owned for a handful of years. I'm genuinely curious about that. If you did like this video and you like this type of content, be sure to like and consider subscribing to my channel, and I'll see you next time.